Hey, Pokedad fan club, it's me, Pokedad, and today we're looking at a different type of video. Today we're looking at how to beat item lock. So we're going to talk about first the item lockers. There's three of them in the standard format right now, and then we're going to talk about some techs and how you can kind of defeat them, maybe even generally how certain types can beat them. So we're going to talk about that right now. So let's start probably with the most popular, which is Seismitoad EX. For a double colorless, he hits you with Quaking Punch, does 30 damage, and then he item locks you, and you can't play any items. And basically the idea is Seismitoad's going to continue to Quaking Punch, Quaking Punch, Quaking Punch. He's going to probably throw in some hammers or some bats or maybe both, and then he's going to just destroy you without you ever really getting much of a chance to even attack back. Alright, so a couple things I want you to notice about weaknesses though. First of all, very low damage output, and they usually have to have some other kind of disruption to beat them. So if we can out-hit him, then we can beat him. Or if we can keep energy on the board without all the hammers throwing it off, we can usually win. So that's what we want to think about when we're playing Seismitoad EX. And also, Trevenant is kind of very similar. Trevenant now has an ability, Force Curse. When he's in the active position, he item locks you. So most Trevenant players, they're going to try to get a turn 1 Wally against you so that they can go ahead and get the Forest Curse going, and you'll never get to see items for your very first turn, and that can be quite annoying. And then he again has to have 3 energies to do Tree Slam, which does 60 to the active and then 20 to the 2 of the bench. But then he can go into Trevenant Break, which does Silent Fear for just 2 energies and can do 30 to every single one of your Pokemon. And Mr. Mime can't stop it, nor Mountain Ring, because of the fact that it does damage counters and not damage, so it just does 3 damage counters to every single one of your Pokemon. And it's kind of annoying, so we have to get around that somehow. Alright, and then finally, the last one is Vileplume. There are a lot of different variants. Probably the most common right now, though, in Standard is Vespiquen Vileplume. There's also Latios Vileplume. There's Giratina Vileplume. I've even seen, something like Lugia and Miltank Vileplume. So those are all possibilities with the Vileplume. I think I've even heard of an Eviltal Vileplume deck. So Vileplume is one of the, you can pretty much add it to any deck. I've seen a Florges EX Vileplume, just to throw another one in there. Irritating Pollen, again, is an ability. Each player can't play any item cards from his or her hand. It's probably the hardest one to set up, and it also is probably the most even one in that it blocks both players. So the big thing though is it usually teams up with something like Vespiquen, and Vespiquen with Battle Compressors, they set up on turn 1, get the Vileplume lock off so you never see items. And then Vespiquen just starts hitting you from anywhere from 90 to 170 if they can get that many Pokemon in the discard pile pretty quickly, and then you're pretty much just have to figure a way to get through that quickly. So those are our 3 item lockers. So we're going to talk about the couple things is you're not going to see many one-hit KOs from item locks. They're going to be low damage output, high disruption. In the one case, Vespiquen Vileplume has a probably medium damage output, so it does put you on a quicker clock. But overall, those are the ideas. So we need to figure out how can we out-hit them? How can we beat them before they beat us? That's really the idea. So we've got to be fast, or we have to have enough energy to be patient enough so that we can see when we can take our opening. Okay, so we're going to talk about some techs. One of the first things I want to talk about is energy counts. Okay, if you're playing a low energy deck, like for instance Night March struggles quite badly against item lock decks because it only plays 4 energies. And once they item lock you, it's very difficult for Night March to find the cards they need to get to that energy, because most of the cards in their hand are going to be items. Now, obviously, if they can see that it's an item lock deck and they can go off on turn 1, they might be able to hit 180 to 200 on turn 1 and be able to take out anything you can put up in the active. And that's really the only recourse Night March has. But in general, if you're playing in any other deck, if you're playing a high level energy count, you're going to stand a good chance to beat item lock. One of the reasons I think Dark is so good and why Dark has a really good matchup against just about everything, including Seismitoad, including Vileplume Vespiquen, including Trevenant. Well, Trevenant, it's weak. Trevenant's weak to Dark anyway, so that gives it an extra good matchup. But it's because they have so much energy in their deck. Most Dark decks are playing 7 basic energies and then 4 double colorless. So they're playing 11 energies in their deck. So if Crushing Hammers come along and start knocking that stuff off, it's okay. They just attach another energy. And they just sycamore in their hand, get to the more energy, attach more energy, and it really doesn't, they don't need their items then. Their items help them, but basically, like, let's look at Evil Tall EX. I mean, think about it. Evil Ball does uh, 20 times the number of energy, 20 plus 20 times the number of energy. So we're going to have 2 on Evil Tall. Let's say we have a 2 Dark on him. All right, 20, 40, 60, just starting. And then if you're going against Seismitoad, Seismitoad's going to have a double colorless on him. So now you've got 100 that you're hitting to Seismitoad for just 2 energies. Let's say he's able to hammer off one of those energies. No big deal. You just attach another one the next turn and you knock the Seismitoad out. I mean, it's pretty much that easy with Dark. Same thing with Trevenant. Trevenant usually has to have at least 1 or 2, and he's weak. So one, you can knock out the Trevenant, they bring up the next one, knock out the next one. It's not really, I mean, it's not hard to get a knockout on the Trevenant or the Trevenant break with Eviltal. And then Vileplume Vespiquen, the one good thing I like about Vileplume Vespiquen is they're usually not doing hammers, but you can get a couple Eviltal EXs set up on one on your bench, one in your active, and then you can Y Cyclone. So you hit 90, which is the magic number to knock out a Vespiquen, move the double colorless to the next Eviltal, and then if they do somehow knock out the first Eviltal, you just bring up the next Eviltal and get another one ready and Y Cyclone, and usually you can either run them out of energy or you can take enough knockouts to win the game using Eviltal EX. So Dark has really a good matchup against all the item locks. If you know you're going to have a heavy item lock in your area, then you should probably consider playing Dark because it uses a lot of energies, and Eviltal EX hits for a truckload, 2-hit KOing most of these and 1-hit KOing Vespiquen. So, alright, Giratina, this is mostly for the Vespiquen Vileplume matchup, but this is one card that I actually used in my obviously Seismitoad Giratina plays this. And this can help the Seismitoad matchup because with Chaos Will, you can do a Chaos Will for 100 and then they can't play any special energy and it's game over for them because that's all they play is special energy. They usually don't have any Lysanders or anything to get the Giratina out of the active. So, that's a tech. If you're playing Fairies, I like Mega Altaria. I think it has a pretty decent matchup against all of these item lock decks. Now, you are going to have to Mega Evolve without a Spirit Link. But the thing is Miss Purge does, if you can get a DCE and a Fairy Energy, 30 damage, and then it heals 30 to everything. So here's the thing, if you're playing against, say, Trevenant, if he does a Silent Fear to everything, then you just Miss Purge and everything that he just did is undone. So that's why I like Mega Altaria. Also, I mean, Seismitoad's going to hit for 40 or 50 if he has a Muscle Band. You're going to heal 30, but you're going to hit back for whopping 130. And then since it is a Mega, it can kind of tank against Vespiquen, and it's going to knock out the Vespiquens, and then it's going to continue to heal 30, which is going to allow you time to take 2, 3, 4 hits, 4 hits before it'll be able to take out 1 Mega Altaria, and in the meantime, you're able to take out 4 of their Vespiquen, and that's game over for them. So Mega Altaria, if you're playing fairies, is one that you should consider if you see a lot of item lock. If you're playing fighting, I think, and this also could be maxied in any deck, but I think Marowak, it's only situational. It's only going to help you with the Seismitoad Giratina matchup. But I think if you're playing a fighting deck, you probably need to add Marowak in for the bodyguard. It prevents all effects of attacks done to you or your hand by your opponent's Pokemon, and then remove any of existing effects. So Quaking Punch doesn't item lock anymore, and Chaos Wheel doesn't keep you from playing double colorless or any of that anymore. If you're playing grass, Mega Sceptile is a pretty decent option. Jagged Saber can constantly be healing, so you can, if you can get 2 Mega Sceptiles going and have the Sceptile Wheel going, you can just keep healing over and over while you're doing 100 damage. Against Seismitoad, it's going to be really good because you're going to knock one-hit KO the Seismitoad. Also, Vespiquen, you're going to take those out pretty easily. And also, if they're playing bats, they're not going to be able to hurt you with the Theta because you have Theta Stop. So Grass Mega Sceptile seems to be a good option. Now Metal, I think, has gotten some really good cards lately, and I think you're going to see a rise in play. I'm personally liking Metal right now. Mighty Shield from Aegislash is going to stop Vespiquen Vileplume right in its tracks. Going to stop Seismitoad and Giratina pretty well too, though they will play hammers. So you may not be able to do much damage, but at least it can be put up in the active to kind of slow them down until you can get everything else set up. So Aegislash is a good counter for both of those. As far as for Trevenant, this Metal Fortress is really good. Now you have to be very careful when you play it. You need to make sure that you have it ready to go before you play a Bronzor down, because he's going to Silent Fear, and 2 Silent Fears take out a Bronzor. So you know that you're going to have to play the Bronzor down. You won't be able to evolve it until next turn. So you're going to get 30 damage on that Bronzor, and then, or if you can get 2, well, 2 Bronzors don't really help you. So you get 1 Bronzor down. If you can get this Bronzong down, Metal Fortress prevents all the effects of your opponent's attacks, including damage done to your bench Pokemon. So that means Trevenant no longer hits you with Silent Fear except to your active is all. And then Tree Slam only does 40 to Metal, so if you're playing a Metal deck, Bronzong is really good. I want to point out the other Bronzong. It has Metal links. This just helps get your energy back if you're playing Metal, so it can be a very, very good, useful card also. Aqua 2, or Manaphy, has free retreat, but Mineral Pump is kind of along the same lines of what Mega Altaria does. Mineral Pump heals 30 damage from each of your bench Pokemon. So if you're getting Silent Feared to death, you can Mineral Pump and just keep healing it. Throw in Rough Seas, which is right here, in a water deck or a lightning deck, and then you can heal 60 damage to everything, and that's almost too much for Trevenant to overcome. Seismitoad and Giratina aren't going to put up a lot of Seismitoad's not going to put a lot of damage output to you, so Mineral Pump could do 60 back, and then you could kind of go between 2 Manaphies and hit 60 to the Seismitoad while he's only doing 30 to you. And then another option is if you're playing Vespiquen Vileplume, you probably don't want to use Manaphy. You probably want to use like a water that's weak to metal or something like that. Suicune is another option with Wind Charm. And this also prevents all the effects of opponent's attacks, so Silent Fear can't hurt your bench, so that's pretty good. Let's look at some of the supporters real quick. Hex Maniac, just a solid card to shut off Trevenant and Vileplume, so that needs to be in your deck, especially if you can't use some of these other techs. 2 Lysanders, just really strong. Can Lysander up a Vileplume, get it stuck, Lysander the Trevenant out of the active, or Lysander the Seismitoad out of the active, and it will get you out of the item lock for maybe a turn or so. N can be very helpful because you're lowering their hand count. And then finally, Pokemon Center Lady can help you heal damage. So anyway, guys, that is how to beat item lock. I passed at the end, but I have only so much time I have on this video. So anyway, hit like and subscribe. We'll talk to you.